Hi everyone. So we are now going to present to you the second video of the Hustlr series. As you know, the first one was with Aditya Ghosh, and the second one is with Ronnie Screwvala. And Ronnie is my biggest mentor. So Ronnie, coming to hustling, right? What makes you hustle at this stage of your life where you've built UTV and so many other successful businesses? What's making you going to even start upGrad and then build this massive university where we are sitting and shooting this right now, Atlas?
You live one life, and I know I'm a strong believer that you live many other lives. But when you're living your life, you got to give it your best. And I think for almost everyone else, for everyone who thinks, I look at the cup always as half empty and look at the opportunities. And when you're looking at a cup, every time it gets filled up, I try and get it back to being half full. Because if you can stay that way, then you know, my God, I've got so much to do and I've got so much to do. So I think if you build self-confidence, you will be a hustler. Because why? Once you know you can make and change things, actually that's all you need in life. You need a lot of happiness and you need your own self-confidence. And if you can balance that, you don't need work-life balance. You don't need those kind of things. Happiness, high energy, positive energy, and a sense of self-confidence are the things I think that give you the ability that says, I can make a difference. If you can do that, you will just want to make that difference because you're blessed to do that. And I think for all of us here, that's the characteristic that I think keeps me going.
And has the hustling, the kind of hustling that you've done over the years, has that changed with different stages of life? And does that change with different stages of business? These are two different questions.
Well, yes. I mean, the simple answer is yes. And I think in the early stages, you hustle. And then as you grow more mature and your business grows or whatever else grows, you make other people hustle. So I think you stop hustling. You had at some stage you have to lead from the front, but you have to stop hustling and make other people. So the biggest challenge is how do you pass on that energy, right? I mean, the good success of being a hustler is to charge people up, is to be the energy factor, to be the battery in the room, to be the guy on the dance floor, to be whatever you want to be. And I think that's what the characteristic is about. So yes, you morph from building it in yourself to then passing it on to others.
And with age also, hustling changes, or?
See, I'm not an age guy. I'm much more
that we can see.
As you can get on with it guy. I think age is a thing in your mind. Yes, as you grow as an individual, and you can grow between 25 and 30, or you may not grow between 25 and 55. When your kids have a party and you give that return gift and there's an expectancy, I think there's a little bit of an element of return gift. Like I came there, I had fun, and here's a token of it. It's a very Indian thing in many ways, but it's not.
Yeah.
So to me, that element of hustle and that element of giving is a return gift.
You know, you have been part of the Lenskart Journey for so many years. When you were investing in this company, what were you thinking?
I love the foundation that you wanted to make a difference and you wanted to bring about change. I love the fact that at every given stage when we talked about anything to do with that, at your core is, how do I make this simpler? And I think that's been the virtue that actually Lenskart has kept it simple. Simple in price, simple in choice, simple in quality. And I think to me, keeping it simple and at the same time having that very focused approach to quality, I think has made a big difference.
And hustling is also about learning, right? It's about staying humble, and you mentioned it's always about learning. Are there things that you are also learning at this stage of your life, or is it, and if it is, what are some of your learnings been lately, or things that you have unlearned and learned?
My learning on any given day is not complete unless I'm first unlearning. And I think we leave that compartment. We feel actually scared. We feel scared about anything. Okay, because the consequences of anything is big. Because firstly, you're letting something go. You know, you're always scared of the consequences. If I'm letting somebody who I think is not working out as a team member and I'm letting them go, I'm already starting to think about the consequences. But you're not thinking of the consequences if you don't do that. I think humility is a bit of a overused word, if you ask me, because at the end of the day, you can't really just say, I'm humble by sitting like that or saying yes, sir, no, sir, or being respectful. Actually, the more people who say yes or no, sir, I think it goes down in terms of humility.
And how does one build a curious culture in an organization? Like at Lenskart, we are at this stage where, culture has become very important to us, and how do we imbibe? And curiosity would definitely has to be one of those values which needs to be part of it.
So I would say anything that you do on a conveyor belt or on a mass thing is not that easy. I think curiosity is an individual trait, and you can't suddenly make it into a printing press or a conveyor belt. That doesn't mean you can't have a culture of plurality of people who are curious, but I think people get influenced, and I think curiosity is one that is infectious, right? So if you have a 30 people meeting, and if it's a very participative meeting, everyone's there for a particular reason. You'll know from an organization where everyone's pitching that there is zero curiosity, because all they want to know is they want to be heard. The biggest antithesis of curiosity is this concern that what do other people think of me? But the day you stop wasting time of doing anything that you think you're doing because how will I be perceived, you're curious. And the day you keep thinking, how will somebody else
But that's a tough one, right? It's usually natural. Human beings in general always care about how they are being perceived. More so in our culture, right? How does one unlearn that
Well, I
bit?
think it's not a question of unlearn, right? Because you could be you're in a meeting room with 20 people and you're quiet. And that's got two ways to go. You're quiet because you're observing, or you're quiet because you're a dumb nutcase and you don't have anything to add or stay in that process. But it's your own self-conviction, because I think 90% of the time, the most thing you sit back on is, should I speak up, or am I making a fool of myself? Or is this a good question, or is it a bad question? And in that 10 seconds of thinking, the moment is gone. And I think happiness is about memories.
Have you had missed moments in life?
I've had lots of missed moments in life, but I think I've had lots more failures than missed moments, I think. And I think the reason I've had more failures is I haven't missed the moments that I should have thought about when I did.
And now you've been building, I've been watching the journey of upGrad. Right? In 5 years, there's a university, you're present in some 4, 5, 10 countries. What's keeping you going? Like, is there a vision that you're chasing? And like, how do you decide? Or one day you decide, I want to own a university.
See, I think when there is an element of learning, actually the world canvas is very, very large. It's not education. It's not one of those calendar events where in school you have a curriculum and then you know how to execute that. But when you're living in a place or living in an environment where you are now preempting what the world is going to look like 10 years away, then you're going to preempt to people to sell to them that you'll have to reskill yourself. Then you're actually preempting what are the skills that people will need to know. Then you're asking people to unlearn. Then you're telling them that, look, 40% is formal learning, but believe me, 60% is soft skills, because it is. And I'm a product of soft skills. I finished my BCom and just about finished my BCom and got into whatever I wanted to do. So I have no entitlement to feel good about anything at that point in time except start a business. So I'm a product of soft skills, where if I hadn't done what I did to get my own confidence up, I wouldn't be sitting here having this chat with you. So to me, when you have such a green field, you have to constantly innovate and push the envelope. And I think the other part is, if the grass is not started to get green by a certain amount of time, you have to move on. You can't keep watering grass that's never going to get green. And I think we spend half our energies trying to water.
I think there's a lesson in that in there for me. Do you think I water the grass too much?
I think we all do in some parts. And I think that curiosity and that learning is, you got to know when to move on, and you need to know when to stick it out.
And in terms of building incredible team, what has your mantra been about building a great team, making sure
my mantra is nothing's ever the right thing. When you talked a little bit about, a lot of people, I say there's no such thing as a big idea. You have to make an idea big. There is absolutely no such thing. So that journey is what it is about. And I think when you're building a team, it's about accepting what won't work also, as much as the people.
What advice would you give me as I am building this A team? What is most important to get these people with different, totally non-complementing viewpoints, challenging viewpoints to come together? There has to be some role that I have to play to create that room and ecosystem to go.
So I don't think there's a formula. For me, what has worked, and I'm not, when I say it's worked for me, doesn't mean it's worked for the other person, is being unpredictable.
Okay.
Because I think when you are unpredictable in some ways, you're keeping other people on their toes, but you're also adding value. Which means at the end of that meeting, if somebody feels, I got 3 things out of here I wouldn't have otherwise got, and it was a rough meeting, but boy, do I have some really good notes for myself, that's when you'll start building a team.
What is really important for me as an entrepreneur to do at this stage of Lenskart to make sure we go to the next stage?
If you start asking about the here and the nows of life, then will you start thinking about the here and now? That doesn't mean you have to always think of 10 years. But I think between the context of the change that one wants to make in a country and a market like India, to stay geography focused on what we've been able to do, but at the same time keeping it simple, the quality simple, the pricing simple, that's completely relatable. I think the best way you defined it is that even when there are 3 different eyewear stores on one platform right next to each other, why do more people walk into a Lenskart store? And as long as we stay true to that, people will walk in and walk in their minds. It doesn't walk in online, walk in on a store, walk in on a product, walk in when they're talking about it, everything.
I genuinely think where we are in India right now, we are a land of opportunities and everybody is hustling. What do you feel about Hustlr?
It should represent part of what you want to be and what the personality you want to be. And I think when people wear, when they look at fashion, it is what you want other people to perceive you at, right? If I'm wearing the same T-shirt for the last 10 years and I haven't changed it,
Which I can tell.
Sometimes I use it as a thoughtful tool. Like some people do it with a pencil, some people do it with a pen, but this can actually be it's a good communication tool also, because sometimes I've seen this in power when a lot of people, if you're like this and you're looking at people, then everyone has a different point of view. When you're doing this, you can have a different point of view in that thought process, right? And when you look around the room, so there's a power in that. For the last 10 years, we've known each other. I think I'm curious, what are your non-negotiables today?
One is anything which is defocusing us from the impact that we want to create in this area of giving vision correction to a lot of people. So example, if somebody came and said, I only want you to do premium eyewear now because that's where the business opportunity is, I think it's quite non-negotiable. If somebody came and said that we want to buy Lenskart, right? And it makes total sense. I'm saying it makes total business sense. And for me right now, what we are doing is non-negotiable in that sense.
If somebody had a much larger resource and because of that, 2 million more people every day could get exposed to this, how would you look at that decision in your life?
You asked what are my 3 non-negotiables, right? The third one is the vision of Lenskart. And I want to differentiate that from the second question of when I said that I'm not ready to sell the company if somebody made an M&A offer, but if I knew that through Lenskart we can touch 1 billion people and give them vision, I would do what it takes to do that.
Right, whatever that would be.
Whatever that would be.
But I've been told that this is one of the largest selling brands in the world. Is that correct?
Yeah, so what happens
because that's the only reason I don't wear specs, and I was really proud to wear this because you said it's one of the
so the story is that
the
there are brands which become large, and brands are a combination of different SKUs. This is now, I would say, the largest selling model, like one singular shape.
Yep.
Like what you would see in an aviator.
Yep.
As a singular shape, as an optical shape in the world. Yes, it is. And there are about...
And it's affordable.
And it is affordable.
Because see, I think that is very important.
Yes.
I mean, we're going to go from 8 billion in humanity to 10 billion in humanity. And there are 2 things we're going to need. A lot more affordability and a lot more human care.
Yes.
So there are other people solving the human care problem, but I think you're solving the affordability
Well, this
problem.
does solve the human care problem because it allows you to dream more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because frankly, the magic of sight, as you rightly put it, and you've seen that, and I've seen that in rural India, the minute somebody puts this on,
it changes.
And they can actually see 90% of they couldn't see, whether it's their farm, their yard, their animal, their cow, their goat.
No, I get goosebumps because some of the kids, and I was reading in the World Economic Forum report lately, and The Economist also, almost 80% of the school dropouts, they link it back to vision.
Yeah.
And such a big problem. And yeah, so a lot more for us to do. We'll keep hustling, and so do you.
And stay with your vision.
Stay with your vision. Thank you.
Thank you.